What is up, everyone? What is up? How's it going? Sorry I didn't stream yesterday. I had some family stuff to, deal with. Family from out of town just came in town. All good things. And, we were out later than I expected, and after I ate all that food, I fell asleep right away into a food coma. So, it happens. What's everyone up to today? How's everyone's weekend been going? It's Monday. Nobody likes Mondays, but it is what it is. What's up, Hans? How's it going? You missed me? I mean, well, then you should aim harder. But yeah, I was actually planning to do my logging server this week, and I realized I forgot one part. I forgot to buy the drive cage for the little super micro that I have been getting all the parts together for. And that was a little oops on me, so I had to go to Amazon, buy it. Of course, it's not Prime, so it may be here as early as Friday, maybe mid next week. Hooray. And then we'll get to building the logging server, which will be interesting because there's going to be the two SATA SSDs that were originally in there as operating system disks, remaining as operating system disks, but it'll be moving from pfSense to Ubuntu, and then I'll be setting up a RAID array on that, but I won't be doing it on the motherboard. I'll be doing it on probably in ZFS or one of those. I gotta do some thinking about that. And then we're going to have a 2 terabyte SATA SSD for the warm drive for the data, and a 1 terabyte NVMe for the hot drive. So basically, the logs that come in and are going to be the most readily available will be on the NVMe. Then I'm hoping that can store at least 30 days worth, and then anything beyond that should be stored onto the Samsung 2 terabyte SATA SSD, so that way I have an efficient system. Did I have fun yesterday? I heard that you couldn't stream. Yeah, I had fun. I was with family, relative I haven't seen for about a year. But yeah, heard about OpenClaw. Which one was OpenClaw? I've heard about a few things going on. So I heard that Jeffrey Epstein is a big reason why microtransactions became a thing. Not even hyperbole. Not a joke. There's been documents going on that he was basically in talks with the person on Activision. He got banned from Xbox Live permanently in 2013. These are things that are all coming out with the most recent dump of the Epstein documents. And, yeah, that's kind of interesting news to have come out of that. Notepad++ was apparently compromised for quite a while, allegedly by China. That is been patched, apparently. I know at work they were discussing possibly just yanking it out of every single machine. Apparently they had compromised the updating mechanism. Then renamed to OpenClaw, that it's called now 100. Oh, Moltbot? Yeah, I heard about Moltbot. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, a lot of the AI stuff is getting kind of interesting. I mean, I use AI in my own home lab, and I have my own LLM running things. I mean, if you've seen my Go Live notifications on Discord, Matrix, Blue Sky, and Mastodon, or anytime I post a video, and you're wondering how those posts get automatically done, I have a Docker that I actually created that will check for when YouTube is live. That's BoonTube Daemon. And then you have Stream Daemon that checks when I'm live on any of the platforms there. And then we'll actually, if found live, it'll grab the headlines of my streams, and in terms of YouTube, it will grab the headline and the description, and then run that through my local LLM. I have it currently running through Gemma 3 12B think that's the LLM I have it currently running. I also have Quen and a few others installed there. So it'll run through that on my 5060 Ti, and then it grades itself, so it'll go through 3 or 4 iterations to make sure it meets all the criteria, and then that will post to Blue Sky, Discord, Mastodon, and Matrix. But the criteria I have is that each platform has their own different post, so that it's not the same, post just generically done across platforms and everything. There's an emoji limit on there. It is banned from using clickbaity words, so it doesn't say epic, legendary, lit, any of those cringy kind of things. I used to push your posts on Twitter before you started the other ones. Well, the only reason it stopped on Twitter, and I still don't do the things on Twitter, is Twitter's API is just too expensive. You're only allowed one project and one API key for that. And to get a basic plan, it's $200 per month. And then you can do the free plan technically would be enough, I guess, if I were just doing posting, but it's not enough for Solar Storm Scout, my ham radio weather bot that I do. But, yeah. So that's the reason premium currency in Activision's Call of Duty is named CP, because of Epstein. Not so much as that, but, so, here, I'll find, where I actually found this. Somebody actually pulled this up. I mean, it's many places, but where I found it was in Reddit. I shared this earlier in my Discord. So if you're not already in the Discord, you should be. The links are in the bios. So here we are. Yeah, so this was in the latest Epstein files. On May, jevacation@gmail.com wrote, to me, X Prize is a good idea, but key is real-world rewards. Learn to read, earn cell phone minutes, iPhone items. And then Pablos Holman said, I'm all for indoctrinating kids into an economy. You gotta love his example for real-world rewards is virtual items in games. Yeah. So that was there. And did you hear that Elon Musk got rejected to go to the island by Epstein? Funny, loads of funny skips about it. Yeah, I heard he was actually trying to go to the island, which is kind of really sketchy. There's more and more information that's coming out, and I just find it absolutely hilarious, okay? Now, I want to make this very clear. If you haven't seen my content before, I'm not some die-hard Democrat. I'm a all politicians kind of suck kind of person. And I even thought the whole, Pizzagate thing that Clinton, was getting thrown into was kind of BS. But I find it funny, a lot of those same people that kept saying Democrats are allowing, CSAM and predators are now turning a blind eye to the fact that the call is coming from inside the house. Because I think, what was it? Wasn't Trump, one of the most, mentioned people inside the documents there? I'm not trying to be political at all here. I'm trying to be objective. And I think that was the case, actually. What's up, Ari? What's up? What's up? What? You got fed. You cannot be hungry. You just got fed, you little fat heads. You into techno anarchism? You mean crypto anarchism? Yeah, I've talked about that a little bit. That's a good boy. That's my good boy. You're gonna be 8 next month. Need to get you to a doggy chiropractor. You're getting old. You need your back cracked. You need a doggy massage for them hips, don't you? You got knots back there. I know. That's my boy. One of them. What time is it for you? Time to get a watch. No, it's close to 8. PM. Techno-anarchism is a forward-thinking, anti-authoritarian... No, that's that's crypto-anarchy. That's not techno-anarchism. That's crypto-anarchy. We talked about this. Timothy C. May is the guy that coined that entire term. Brilliant guy that actually helped Intel solve their... I forgot what specific problems, but a brilliant guy that did that. His papers are, the whole crypto-anarchist manifesto is in MIT and a few other places. We actually went through and read the crypto-anarchist manifesto one other stream. It's not that long. I think he wrote it in, 89? Craziest thing is that 4chan stuff. Which 4chan stuff? Because 4chan stuff is crazy. Inside the house, yeah, towards the mention I had there. Did you go to FOSDEM? No. One day I may want to go, but gotta balance all that. Hopefully when I get a new job, I'm in final rounds for 2 potential jobs that I actually like. Both of them said that while they may not necessarily pay for my conferences, they won't necessarily make me have to take PTO to go to said conferences, as long as it goes, it's applicable towards my, field, basically. Epstein met with Moot the night before polls. Oh, yeah, that! Yitz was telling me about that. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's coming more and more, becoming, more well-known about things as more documentation is being revealed. Now, I do know that in terms of the Epstein documents that have been revealed, they did heavily violate the Victim Protection Act or something like that, because they've had this documentation for how long? And they didn't actually redact any of the information that they're supposed to have relating to victims. That is a big no-no. And it's like, dude, you dropped the ball heavily here. You've had this documentation, apparently, for years. Yeah, Hans, they can call it whatever they want, but the reality is it was called crypto-anarchism way before. Timothy C. May literally coined the term. It was coined a long time ago. Yeah, 1988, the Crypto-Anarchist Manifesto. So someone just came up with the same idea after he already had come up with it. It's basically the same, except it's all known more widely as crypto-anarchism. Timothy C. May came up with all these ideas before the internet as we know it. Like, if you don't believe me, we've already read it before. Look up the Crypto-Anarchist Manifesto. MIT has a copy hosted of it. It's only like 3 paragraphs long. That is exactly where that came from. That technology is basically going to be able to foster an entire world where we could actually do away with a lot of the conventions of a normal political system that we have in many cases, and that government's basically going to be fearful of it because people can be able to, conduct business and exchange information without really government control being there. Do you believe that most of the internet traffic is bots and fake? I don't know about most, but a good chunk. There's already a problem with advertising. Yitz was telling me about this, because that's part of what he does in his job, where they actually have to do filtering to block bots because there are people paying for bot farms to click on ads, either because it's competition and they want you to drain your ad spend, or it's people that want to basically drum up the fact and artificially inflate that they're doing great at marketing or anything like that. Also the DEF CON stuff with Black Hat. What about that? What about DEF CON stuff? There's so many things in chat going on. What are your thoughts on that person recruiting at DEF CON for stuff on that island? I'm pretty sure if anyone had figured out that there was somebody that was actually into that, they would collectively be getting an ass kicking. That is not the place you really want to be. Let me put it this way. If you've ever been to DEF CON, while there have been government agencies that, you know, have definitely done talks there and shared information and things like that, there's not a very warm feeling towards government, and especially towards people who restrict the rights of other people. One of my friends that is completely straight said it is hard as hell to go to DEF CON and find someone to date if you're a straight person, because pretty much everyone that you meet is somewhere on that kind of a spectrum. Some Black Hat organizers got him tickets for 8 women. Well, Black Hat, the difference is that Black Hat is a more corporate type of event. I don't know the specifics of that, but Black Hat has done deals with many corporations. I'm not talking about in terms of shady. I'm talking about in terms of business. Because Black Hat is where a lot of the corporate businesses go, you know, to sell you security shit. That's why a lot of the people in the cybersecurity industry, the people that actually are practitioners, generally like avoiding that one. The people that actually like cybersecurity go to DEF CON. They go to, you know, GurCon and all those other ones. If you are a C-suite executive or some kind of manager and, you know, all that, you go to Black Hat because everyone's going to be selling you products and shit. They tried emailing Kevin Mitnick, too. Yeah, I know someone that actually knew Kevin IRL back in the day, R.I.P. Kevin. He would have not been good with that shit. I don't believe AI is a replacement tool, but a tool to be used. That's basically what I've been saying for a long time. We have too many people that are just throwing AI at the wall like it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. It's a problem. Word on the street is that a lot of honeypots going on and everyone isn't into the art for good. Yeah. Is Black Hat just a big sponsorship for companies to sell you shit that you don't need? Pretty much. Your dead giveaway for that is... Do you know how much a ticket for Black Hat is versus DEF CON? DEF CON is a few $100s. And that's already considered one of the more expensive cybersecurity conferences. But it's still in the affordable territory. I mean, if you compare that to a lot of the music festivals and stuff out there, and that it's several days long, it's in Vegas, as big as it is, that's pretty... cheap. Like, you can reasonably do a week in Vegas and a couple conventions, whether you're talking about SquadCon, Dyna Initiative, I think was another one, B-Sides, and DEF CON for a few $1,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not when you think about it. It's Vegas. And I'm lumping in there your travel, your flight, your food, your hotel, your transport. I'm like lumping into that entire, few $1,000s, everything you'll need to do for the weeks. And I even lumped into that, like, buying merch. I think when I've done it, it's been like about $3,500, $4,000 each time. You know, you can spend more than that going overseas to Europe. Trust me, I've done that. How much is a Black Hat ticket? I think they're about $2,500 if I'm not mistaken. That's just the ticket. That's not even the hotel. That's not even the food, anything like that. Let me see. Was there a big price jump when they stopped hosting at Alexis Park? What? What? Hold on, let's see. Do they have the ticket price up? Last I checked, it was like $2,500. But like, all you need to know, like when I'm saying like, it's the corporate event, I want you to see this. Okay, so like this is the website here. Okay. You got your, your speakers and all that. You have these partners named out. Okay, they're paying money to get out there. And if you're not familiar with these are all enterprise products here. Very few of these you're gonna have in the small business side of things. DEF CON? DEF CON's gone up in price because they've been also doing a lot more. Now they're at the convention center, but you got to think about for how much it costs for DEF CON. 600 or so bucks, if I remember that's how much the ticket is. Not that much for everything they have going on there. They give you free food. Yeah. Free with quotes. You're paying for it. Every one of my friends that has gone to Black Hat just once says they've done it to say they've done it and they plan to never go back again. Like, this is how much you need to know about how hoity-toity it is. All right? I don't know if they have any pictures there, but like, everyone there is pretty much in a suit or professional attire. Like, it is designed for C-suite executives and, being super, super professional. Okay, there's one guy from Wiz that I see with a hoodie on. Okay, one. Whereas, in DEF CON, it's your average everyday, cybersecurity person is showing up there. Banquet joke stream, see. I'm demoralized realizing that we have so little power that we're willing to risk on our lives of being ruined. Anyone with long-standing power is a part of it, or being threatened into silence. Yeah, unfortunately, that's why I say that we have a political system that's more about elitism than populism. And that's why I look at people and I'm like, Republican versus Democrat don't really matter much. It's top versus bottom. It's not about left versus right that's really battling. It's more top versus bottom. As long as they can keep the bottom fighting amongst themselves, then we don't have to focus about where the problem is, and that's facing up. Do you have a ham radio license? Yes, I have a general class ham radio license. Yeah, I'm doing well, Bengali. Why do file floors sometimes have black backgrounds? Windows 11? I don't know. I don't use it. I don't use Windows 11. Well, except on that one machine over there, but I really only touch it infrequently, just for like streams and stuff. Every time I see people use Arch or the Arch logo, I always remember that they can't seem to touch grass. I'm glad that I have, ingrained that into people's minds. Maybe like April Fools, I'll do a stream where I'm gonna like set up Arch and be like, I'm moving over to Arch. Just one night as a joke. Apparently it's a federal crime to operate a ham radio without a license. You're damn right. Well, you can receive on a ham radio. You can listen to ham radio all you want without a license. Transmitting is illegal without a license on the appropriate spectrums. But my ham shack is right behind me. I got a 100-watt ham radio over there with VHF, UHF antenna and an HF antenna mounted outside. You can do Meshtastic without a license. How hard was it to get a license? Technician, not hard. Technician licenses, you have to know a little bit about Ohm's law. You have to know the rules and regulations. You can probably knock it out. I knocked it out in like an afternoon of studying, and then I did the test, and then it cost $15 for each test attempt. I did it one time, and then $35 for the license. But you can also get a GMRS license for $35 without any test requirement there. GMRS is basically just FRS frequencies with more power, and then you have the ability to use 50-watt repeaters on GMRS bands. So I have a GMRS and a ham radio license, and then once you get the license, that $35 lasts for 10 years, and then if you ever upgrade the license from technician class, which is the entry level, to general class, again, it's $15 for the test, and then you don't have to pay the license fee for that. Oh yeah, Ham Radio Village does free ham tests, still $35 for the license. Yeah, that's an FCC thing. But yeah, there are places that'll do it for free, like the Ham Radio Village at DEF CON. Eventually I'll sit down and do my amateur extra. General is kind of where I tell a lot of people to shoot for. The reason why is technician gets you basically to wet your lips, and then you can do handheld transceivers and stuff like that, and then at least get a good feel for the art and science of radio. General is where you get the most amount of privileges unlocked, that you can start doing a lot more on different bands. Amateur Extra doesn't really give you access into any more bands, but just smaller slivers of spectrum that you couldn't access under general class. You take yours from a radio club or whatever they called? Yeah. I did my first one, the technician, was online. I don't recommend doing online. It's nerve-wracking and annoying to do it that way. The second one I took locally. A lot of fire stations, police departments, even your local FEMA, or emergency response in your county or that, they may do it. Like, my county actually put up a general class for free for you to learn how to help you study for the general radio license, and they did that for free. That was done by the county. It just depends on the resources near you. It's not all that difficult. One website I definitely recommend is hamradioprep.com. I think I spent like $90 on a package that a few years ago, and that gave me the online training material for all 3 levels. I did the county class in addition for the general license, just because there was a few concepts that I was having a tough time, and it was easier to just do that in conjunction. And then I passed it after like a few weeks of studying. Do you use ECC RAM in your main PCs? No, I do not. A lot of my motherboards don't support it. Technically, the Ryzen CPUs do, but you have to find a motherboard that supports it. Then you have to get ECC RAM. I only use ECC in my 2 super micro boxes in the network rack. One of them isn't racked, it's right over here, ready to be built. Or rebuilt. If someone makes a report to the SEC, they take it very seriously. Oh yeah, and there's a lot of people that actually have fun doing radio fox hunts. So, don't kid yourself. They will actively try to find people who are causing interference. And by they, I don't necessarily mean, just the government. They rely on the ham radio community to be self-policing. The reason why is if we, as the community, do the job of policing ourselves, then we don't have to get the government involved as much, because we all know if government gets involved, we all are going to lose our fun. DDR5 has it by default. That's actually not true. DDR5 has ECC characteristics, but DDR5 with true ECC is totally different than what they're saying in DDR5. Like, the reliability of DDR5 ECC memory is completely in a different class than just DDR5 memory. Opinion on Proton Mail leaving the Swiss. Should I find an alternative? No. It's not an issue so much as what you think. If you actually read the reasoning why they're leaving, is because Switzerland is starting to get a little bit more hostile to privacy, which is ironic because Switzerland's claim to fame for many years was privacy. Is it a review on stream or game day? It's a review on stream, which we'll be getting into. I gotta remember where I was last stream. Got so much stuff to catch up on. Okay, so we had catching up on a few videos. Okay, so we did the Scientist Gold thing, the Twitch streamer situation, we did that. Oh yeah, we did talk about the NVIDIA CPU, we talked about 18650s. We did go past that. That video I know was a little bit too long. Oh yeah, so here's what we got. 40% of kids can't read and teachers are quitting. So I don't know if y'all have seen this, but there is a problem. Apparently that a lot of teachers have been leaving the education system because they're citing that, well, there's problems. Many of them I think the problem that we also have is, when I grew up, George Bush pushed this whole thing of No Child Left Behind. The reality is, I think we need to stop pushing kids forward if they're generally not learning things. That's, I think, something that we just have to accept, is that some kids don't need to be coddled. They need to actually be given education. And oh yeah, the argument is, well, they're going to be left behind and, you know, some of their friends are going to move on without them. Well, unfortunately, that's the consequences. And this is coming from a guy that barely graduated high school, not because I didn't know the thing. My thing was totally different. I was bored in classrooms. Like, my teachers knew I was smart because, like, you'd put the test in front of me and I'd always get, like, A's and B's. Why I almost failed was I would never do my homework because it was boring to me. But anything that actually challenged me, I would be interested in. But when you're coming from a household that my dad was actually teaching me long division in, like, 2nd grade, and I was doing complex algebra in 4th grade, and then I'm going into 4th grade and they're just learning long division, that's going to be boring. And that's why I think a lot of, you know, the smart children tend to be the ones that, you know, aren't challenged enough. But then you have a problem where kids are not given the attention and stuff they need. American statistics or European statistics? This is American. So let me make sure the audio is working over here. Hold up. Alright, so I got to wake it up.
Front, left.
Okay. Don't know why that is a thing that happens.
Front,
I think it's a
left.
weird quirk with the NVIDIA drivers when I do the reset, but now, okay. It's working. They never should have get rid of shop class, auto shop, masonry, home economics, cooking, and computers. Oh yeah, that I totally agree with. They should have never gotten rid of the electives. They never should have. Those were the things that I think gave a lot of people, you know, the opportunity to think about. Like, my aunt told me back when she was in high school, they had a welding class. Like, I think kids should have exposure to all these things early on, because maybe they're not going to see that, you know, English class is really going to be all that pertinent and knowing Shakespeare and everything. Okay. Is it boring? I absolutely think so, and I thumb my nose at the direction of the people that think that an English degree is, really going to get you a serious job. Like, seriously, what are you going to do with an English degree? Literature degree, whatever. Anyway.
A fourth grader asked their teacher, "Why do I need to learn how to read if AI can read for me?" Right now, 40% of fourth graders can't read.
Jesus.
We're witnessing the collapse of the American education system.
I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110 students. Two of them are reading on grade level right now.
Wait.
8 students.
What was
I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students. 2 of them are reading on grade level right now. 18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level. We were doing guided notes, supposed to be a real easy day. It was review. They wrote down Maryland was founded as a safe haven for Catholics. It was on the board. They wrote it down. And before we moved on, I call on a student and I ask, "Hey, where were the Catholics one more time?" And these students, what they do is they look at me, and then they look at their notes, and then they look at the board. They look back at their notes. And some of them never answered me. They never figured out the answer. It was wild. And I kept giving them hints, like rephrasing the question and saying, like,
exactly.
"It's in your notes. We just wrote it down. We just wrote it down. Where are the Catholics? It's on the board." And they never got it. They can't read their own notes. And I don't mean their handwriting. I mean, like, they can't make heads or tails of it on the page. These kids have a frightening ability for information to go from their eyes to their hands and not pass through the brain at all. What do we do, y'all? That ship is sailing across the ocean and there is no one at the wheel.
What's she doing?
You know what I think a big problem is? I've said this for years. We just throw electronics at kids as a distraction device, but we don't let them think creatively and don't let them actually process things. You let the computer basically do all the creativity for them. Like, I was the last generation to actually remember being able to walk away from the internet. Where we may use the internet for, what was held back here? Oh. If I have crush goblins, it'll be over my dead body. They need to learn. But, like, we were called out for reading above our grade levels. Really? Yeah, I remember they, had an issue with my dad because he had a bachelor's in, engineering and mathematics, so he was giving me math in the home, and then complex computer projects we'd work on together. And because I was, like, so far ahead, I would not want to do things in class, because I'm the type of person that, like, if it's boring, I'm kind of not interested because it's a waste of energy. But back to what I was saying is, I'm thankful that I actually got to grow up in an era where we didn't have the internet all the time. What I mean by that is I had the internet growing up. Since I was a little kid, I always had the internet as a thing. But we used to use AOL Instant Messenger to message our friends so that we could be like, "Hey, we're going to go, play street hockey over at the school. Do you want to meet up?" Or, go to your friend's house, and then you would get on your bike to your friend's house, call your mom when you got to your friend's house, let them know that, you were okay, and then you would go do the thing, and you'd get away from the internet. If you wanted to go play a video game with your friend, you had to physically go over to their house to play Nintendo 64 or even basic Xbox, because Xbox Live was not always a thing on every game. Like, the internet now is so ubiquitous that we have smart devices and dumb people. There are too many parents, I think, throwing a smart device at their kid just to keep them satiated than just accepting you have a kid that needs to develop their brain and thinking skills and processing things, and they shouldn't be on a screen all the time. Like, have you seen the videos of, like, the kids that are basically addicted to Cocomelon because that's basically, like, toddler crack? Like, that is a real problem. I was born in 2000. I can walk away from the internet. I have offline games. Well, you're the few and far between of that. But yeah.
Described is terrifying. The information goes through their eyes, down through their hands, without passing through their brains. But this isn't an isolated incident. This is nationwide. I looked up the actual numbers. Only 23% of fourth graders can read at a proficient level. Just
What?
23%. Then we have the eighth graders. Only 26% are reading proficiently.
What?
After all the reforms, adding technology into the classrooms, and debating about funding, we're now at 40%. We didn't get better, we made it worse.
I've been teaching since 1993. And yes, we have always had kids who struggle to focus.
Yep.
But what's happening now is on a whole other level. Do you remember how it used to feel when the teacher would pull out the cart with the big TV and the VCR attached?
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill. Yes. I remember the VCR being pulled out for the cart. Like, that was... You knew that was going to be a good day when the teacher brought out the cart and had the VCR. My cousin is a neuroscientist. I need to see what she's got in study land. Interesting. And the bones hurt. But yeah, I totally get that.
Not anymore. Now I've got kids asking to skip it. They literally can't just sit and watch.
I'm a 90s kid, so I
What? You can't sit and watch Bill Nye? Jesus. Like, look, that was like the best thing to do is like you give them Bill Nye the Science Guy for science class. Or, you know, yeah, that was a great time. That was the better way to watch. Or
exactly
learn.
what she's talking about. When that rinky-dink TV rolled into the
Yeah!
classroom, that was the best day ever. But today's kids are overstimulated. TV is not cutting it. When we were growing up, they said we watched too many
Cat
cartoons.
Dog, Johnny Bravo,
now kids
Pokemon.
don't even want cartoons. It's not enough stimulation. They get bored. Kids
What was I just saying? Like, I swear to God, if I have a crotch goblin one day, I am gonna be basically the most caveman type of parent. Like, oh, you want to be on you want to watch something on a computer? You're gonna have to learn how to use the computer. Here's a laptop. Like, you're not gonna get this, like, tap shit. Like, this is gonna shock a lot of you. I don't even own a tablet computer. Well, I do, but it's like 10 years old and I haven't really used it. I'm thinking about buying one just so I can do my schooling on the go. But, like, yeah, like, we throw tablets too much at kids.
They are growing up watching Cocomelon and YouTube Shorts, content that's meant to hold attention for seconds at a time.
The fuck is that?
And now we're asking them
What
to
the
sit in the
fuck?
classroom for hours with no screens and no stimulation. Of course, they're going to roam around yelling 6-7. They're having withdrawal symptoms.
Honey, teaching kids isn't the same anymore. It's just not. Used to be kids would listen to teachers simply because they were teachers. That was the respect of it all. Now, no, honey. I got to keep the kids constantly engaged. Not even just engaged, but almost overstimulated. The candy isn't even working anymore. Giving out candy for positive reinforcement doesn't even work anymore. They don't care about that. Girl, I'm using chimpanzini bananini just to get my kids' attention, just so they'll look at me. Hello, hello. Girl, bye. I got kids saying 6-7 repeatedly. They don't even know how to spell 6-7. Catching me doing this mid-lecture, just to see if they're paying attention. You watching? Hello, we there? Girl, it's so bad now. It's so bad.
TVs
Really?
don't work.
We're effed in America. This is why also, like, I keep saying to people when they're like, wait, do you want to have kids? And I'm like, yeah, but probably not in America. Like, I've lived overseas, okay? I've got family in Morocco. I've got family all over the Middle East. I got family all over Europe. They don't deal with this shit. One of my friends of the family introduced me in Germany that they have this entire concept of unschooling, you know, basically where it's not like the typical kind of education kind of thing. They get to learn what they want to do, and you'd think these kids would be effing around. No, she's literally learning engineering. Like, damn, girl. She own it. She gonna be a STEMinist.
Isn't working. The only thing that grabs their attention is TikTok memes.
Scimpanzini bananini, wah wah wah, bananucci monkey 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 uchi.
What the hell is this?
Scimpanzini cocosini, wah wah wah, boop boop bada bim, coconucci monkey 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 uchi.
Despite these apps require
And I'm saying this as a TikTok creator. I don't necessarily believe in government, you know, restricting, you know, kids from being able to access social media. But I think parents should be not allowing kids on social media. You can definitely restrict that on all those smart devices. You shouldn't give them smart devices. Yeah, what in the brain rot was that? Yeah, I think just watching that little 10-second clip there, I lost about 30 IQ points. If I watch that again, I'm going to be having to take the short bus to school tomorrow, okay?
users to be 13, kids are on them way earlier. One study found that a quarter of kids aged 11 to 15 said they use social media to forget about their problems.
Oh, that is wrong.
17% said they tried to cut back but couldn't. These kids are describing.
See, growing up, we used social media to actually be social. Like, we had MySpace talking about the parties we went to and the parties, you know, like to organize. And then Facebook would be the similar thing. When MySpace kind of went away, we would actually use it to connect with people. And then I don't know what happened after a certain point in time, maybe around the time boomers discovered it. It then became hyper political and then toxic and then all this other crap. But yeah, we use social media to learn to code. Yeah. I did my first HTML and CSS stuff from MySpace pages. Would it crash your Internet Explorer because of all the janky JavaScript and stuff we threw in there? Absolutely. Did we have screaming emo music the second you loaded your page? Absolutely. But it was glorious. What's my favorite Linux distro? I've got a few. I'm on Pop OS right now. I use Debians and Fcubes OS and Parrot OS and Ubuntu for my servers very often.
Gen Z was the first generation to grow up on social media, and they're the most anxious, most depressed, loneliest generation on record. And now Gen Alpha isn't just growing up on social media, they also have generative AI.
Okay, this is becoming a genuinely concerning issue. As a substitute teacher, I am encountering a really concerning number of students who truly do not see any value in learning because, as one of the 4th and 5th graders that I was teaching the other day asked me, why do I need to know any of this if a computer or AI can do it for me?
So is Gen Alpha going to be the generation that finally brings about Idiocracy? Idiocracy was supposed to be a comedy, not a documentary! Thank you. Welcome to Costco. I love you. That's what we're going into. I got to put music on to listen to you. But how was I supposed to get my message across that I'm different? I'm pretty sure when we loaded your page and it turned into like all purple heart GIFs and stuff like that would render my computer to having 100% at its single core Pentium 3 or Pentium 4 CPU would do enough. So many people must play music in the background while playing video games. Okay, hold up. My generation was the iPod generation. We grew up needing music everywhere. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is a whole other janky thing. Hulk Hogan was endorsing politicians. I think we're already there. No, we were there long before.
The little girl didn't want to learn how to read because why would she need to when she could have the computer read it to her? Or when she could just take a picture of her math problem and have the AI do it for her? This is a legitimate issue.
Children.
Yeah, a lot of these kids don't seem to understand the internet's not always going to be there. What I mean by that is, there's been many times, we've all experienced it, cell phone outage, internet outage. You need to learn how to process this. There will be times when infrastructure is so messed up, it is not a viable option. Like hurricanes, tornadoes, they happen. And I think it's really dangerous that we're giving kids access to smart devices and AI so early, because I think you need to have cognitive functions develop before you should be able to use those things, because you need to be able to differentiate things. Internet outage? Well, I guess I'll read a book or color. Yeah. Internet outage, I got different projects. I'm going to go solder something. Or Cloudflare. Yeah, Cloudflare outage. AWS US East goes down.
Have fully developed reasoning abilities. Their brains just aren't developed.
No, they aren't.
Just take a look at the subreddit Kids Are Stupid to see proof that kids do not think long term. They don't have the mental capacity to fully think through their actions. So how is a teacher supposed to convince a student to learn how to read when that student believes that they...
I'm listening to Afterman. Because I got la da 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 da. Play solitaire physically. Yeah. I honestly learned how to play solitaire basically by inferring it from the solitaire games on Windows, but yeah, totally.
I can just read for them. How do they convince them to learn to write when they can talk to ChatGPT and it'll write for them? Spelling, why bother? Grammar, who cares? History, civics, critical thinking. The AI has all the answers. And all a child sees
And
is
AI
a
is not
path of
right
least
a lot of
resistance.
time. We
they
know
don't
this.
understand that to struggle is to learn and to grow.
What are you doing?
GPT.
I know, but what are you doing?
I'm doing school.
You're doing school on ChatGPT. How old are you?
3.
And what are these children hearing from the adults?
The fact that you're a parent seeing your kid doing that on an iPad and you haven't snatched that freaking iPad away is more of me judging you as a parent. You are giving a several $100 device to a 3-year-old. Like, what's next? You gonna give that baby crack?
About AI. AI is going to change everything. AI makes you so much more efficient. AI can do it for you. Why would a child invest in learning when every adult around them is saying that machines will do it better? We're creating learned helplessness at scale.
I'm going to start with saying that teachers are not afraid of AI because we hate technology.
I
We
still
are
gotta
scared
proofread
because
everything it
we are
spits out too,
watching
Jessica.
critical thinking disappear in real time. When I was in high school, my math teachers would say, you got to know how to do this because you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. Well, guess what? I have a calculator in my pocket at all times. But what I've realized is that it's not a fair comparison because calculators replace computation after we learned how math worked. AI shows up before students ever learn how to think through a problem. What we are witnessing is that students are now incapable in sitting in any kind of intellectual discomfort, and that's concerning.
This is...
You know what? I have to thank my parents, not only for the way they did things, but hear me out before you go at me about this. I also need to thank my religion. So, in Judaism, we're taught to study Torah, usually with a partner called a chavruta. And you're supposed to discuss and argue and learn about things and go through different perspectives. Like, if you look at, everyone's like, well, the Talmud says, the Talmud is literally a bunch of people arguing over centuries. Like, there is nothing definitive in the Talmud that, you can look at and be like, that's what we're supposed to do. Because you can be like, one rabbi says this, then you look down, another rabbi says completely different thing. And it's literally them arguing back and forth or asking questions, and they're still adding things to it. We're taught to think critically. I'm sure there are other religions that do very similar things and all that. But I can at least put into, my own experiences. That was very beneficial because it teaches you critical thinking. Not necessarily that it's going to, apply to your life, but it teaches you, well, if you have this, and then in this situation, how could it apply to that situation? But here's this perspective over here, and you get to actually think and learn to think. And that's, I think, one of the big problems we have with kids today is they don't know how to think because they weren't taught how to think. They were taught to use a device for them to think. I was looked at weird today when I asked about a new app connection. They couldn't answer what model it was hooked to. It's safe. Yeah, no, it's not. If you can't answer what model it is and how it's hooked up and everything like that, I'm going to block that, and you're going to have to think about that. After I smack you upside the head. I might go to HR for that, but it'll be worth it.
People miss when they compare AI to calculators. It's not just math, it's literally every subject, including thinking itself. And we now have more research on AI and cognition. Students who use AI show weaker reasoning skills. They accept answers without questioning them. Researchers call it cognitive offloading. They develop this pattern of generating first and thinking later, or really generating first and not thinking at all. And the scary part is these studies are showing cognitive decline in adults. People with fully developed brains. If AI is doing this to adults, then what is it doing to a brain that's still forming? Teachers are responding to the overuse of AI by removing Chromebooks and iPads from the classroom.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
Pencil and paper,
I'm
the
okay
method
with that.
We've used for hundreds of years because it actually works. But I want to discuss who's actually incentivized to have AI in the classrooms. We already know what social media was designed to do, and we know the future design because Mark Zuckerberg has been quite open about that. He thinks AI can fill the gaps in your friendships. He's exploiting.
You brain vomit in your notes before you touch AI. So, I'll show you what I did with AI recently, okay? This is where I need to, do some, thinking and stuff like that. So, let me see if I can find that example. Hold on. Where was it? Let me see. Boot. I was using it to look up boots. Did I delete that chat? No, hold on. I know I was using it for some stuff. Well, this is good enough. Okay, so this is an example of what I was doing, all right? I like 5'11", stuff as you know, but recently I've been feeling like their shoes are kind of not the greatest quality. So I was like, what's a shoe that's comparable to my 5'11" AT trainer, as the heel seems to wear fast, but I like the tread and feel for my 11 wide shoes. By the way, if y'all are wondering, I wear a size 11 wide. You know what they say about people with big feet. Damn, he's got some big feet! What the hell were you thinking about? But yeah, this is what I use AI for. Or I'm actually just using it for comparisons. I don't generally have it think for me. When I'm doing my AI stuff, my coding things, I'm architecting how I want it to go. Am I that good at, actually doing the coding in Python? Not really, but I can look at it, I can understand it, and I know that, you need to pin versions and things like that. We've gone over this many times. But, yeah.
Loneliness caused by his own apps. Then there's Noam Shazir. He's the founder of Character AI. In an interview, Shazir said, "I joke that we're not going to replace Google, we're going to replace your mom." He wants his AI chatbot to replace mothers, the person who's supposed to guide you, help you make decisions, and provide you with life advice. He would rather his chatbot do that. And then there's Sam Altman. There's always a Sam Altman quote because the man has never received a podcast invitation that he could turn down.
People talk about the most personal shit in in their lives to ChatGPT. Young people especially use it as a therapist, a life coach, having these relationship problems. What should I do? They don't really make life decisions without asking ChatGPT what they should do.
Yeah, that really weirds me out. The closest I've had to ChatGPT helping me with a quote-unquote life decision was I was asking, okay, in terms of a bachelor's degree, what should I think about next? Should I go for a master's in cybersecurity, then maybe an MBA in IT project management, or should I go straight to an MBA in IT project management? But that was more determining where I want to go with my career than having it completely map my life out for me. Or I know quite a few people that are using ChatGPT as therapists. That weirds me out. When I need a therapist, I go to my therapist. I need an actual therapist because we've already seen cases where ChatGPT has, and some people say it's talked them off of ledges, but there's been other cases where it's full on made those people walk off a ledge or convince them to, the only AI I use is hentai. God damn it!
And it has the full context on every person in their life and what they've talked about.
There's young people who just say I can't make any decision in my life without telling ChatGPT everything that's going on. It knows me, it knows my friends. I'm gonna do whatever it says.
These CEOs know exactly what they're doing. They're not accidentally replacing critical thinking. They're designing for it. They want users dependent on the chatbot for advice, for decision making, for thinking itself. Because dependency is a business model. In fact, it translates to $20 a month for ChatGPT. But all of this has a societal cost, and we are paying for it.
I don't get to teach. I spend my day managing behaviors and teaching students how to regulate their emotions. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a behavior specialist. I'm a teacher, and most of my job is managing behaviors. I just watched a video of a teacher getting pepper sprayed by their student in the school.
What?
Because they took their phone because it was being used to cheat on a test.
She didn't sign up for this. None of them did. Teachers go into the profession with the expectation.
Yeah, if a teacher quits over that, I would not blame them. I would not blame them. Teachers are not there to be your counselor. They're not equipped for that. That's where counselors and therapists are supposed to be there for the children. If you have a child that cannot regulate themselves effectively for their age bracket, that is a failure as a parent. And I don't know. I'm one of those people that doesn't like to have government involved in things, but maybe we are getting to the point where parents should have to, get permission to actually have a child, because we're getting too many effed up parents making effed up kids. I don't think we should do that. I'm just saying, it's really effed up. And we've already had dumb people making dumb kids for a long time, but now we're making a whole new level of effed up. Because you have a bunch of parents I'm not going to raise my child to be as effed up, effed up in the ways that my parents, raised me. And then their kid is a whole new kind of effed up. Because that parent didn't want to invest the time necessary and the resources that they should as a parent to be able to raise that child. Hell, there's dog owners out there that shouldn't be dog owners, and those people shouldn't be parents either.
That they will teach, similar to how their teachers taught them. They didn't realize that.
Yeah, my cousin does that, and I don't understand why she does it. I don't understand why Yitz has done it. I'm like, if you need a therapist, go get a therapist. When I needed someone to, go and process things and all of that with all the shit that's gone on in my family, and ChatGPT was around when all that shit happened. All I did was ask ChatGPT what different licenses mean for a therapist so I could better find a therapist to actually go talk to. I'm not going to use ChatGPT as a therapist. I have friends, I have family, and I have therapy. I would more rather go to my grandfather's grave and just talk to his grave than I would to give my feelings out to Chat GPT or anything like that.
Be managing behaviors because they're not behavioral therapists. But today, that's what the job entails. Severe breakouts, tremors, daily anxiety attacks, crying before work, crying after work, dreading the drive in, bringing work home because there's not enough time to do your job at your job. The data shows teacher shortages were being reported on back in 1998, but back then it was fewer than 30% of states. Fast forward to today, and it's 86% of school districts that can't fill their positions. 86% is a collapse, not a shortage. 411,000 teaching positions are either empty or filled by someone who isn't fully qualified. As a result of having less staff and more students with behavioral issues, teachers are burning out. In fact, teachers have the highest burnout rates of all industries, with 44% reporting always or very often feeling burned out.
I'm just saying, wow, 44%, college being 35, professional services 33, government 33, and you'd think government is a high amount. Retail, definitely can see that. Healthcare, oh yeah, especially after COVID, totally. Law, I can see that. My lawyer said they used to be a prosecutor and then they stopped because they just got tired of all of it and then just wanted to switch to defending. Entertainment, yeah, I get that. Manufacturing, and then technology, 25%. Yeah.
Industries, with 44% reporting always or very often feeling burned out. This clip says, how it feels going to sleep tonight knowing that I don't have...
That CISA guy that uploaded a bunch of sensitive stuff to a chatbot. Yeah, we talked about that last stream last week. I think that was Wednesday. Yeah. But I've said for a while, Trump's administration is built more on loyalty than competence. I really don't have faith in them. I even criticized his first executive orders to undo Biden's collaborative panel. I forget what it was. I have a video on it on YouTube. But yeah, and then apparently the Trump administration is so butthurt about Jen Easterly. If you don't recall who she is, she was the former head of CISA, and she got appointed to be the head of RSA. Because she was appointed the head of RSA, the government decided not to attend the RSA conference. Like, they already had people out there and were basically just hanging out in their hotel rooms. Like, that level of petty. And Jen Easterly, go look at her resume. Freaking brilliant woman that, is definitely earned her position in the cybersecurity field. Yeah.
Wake up tomorrow and teach children because I quit my teaching job in the middle of the year.
I couldn't give a crap less about Hunter Biden at this point. It's like, oh, okay, he had a laptop. Okay. He effed up. Cool. I don't care about Biden. Didn't like Joe Biden either. Didn't like Hillary Clinton. Didn't like Trump. I just don't like most politicians.
The comments. What are you doing instead? Asking for me. Currently in class and just letting them talk over me because I'm tired of it already. What do you do now? I went out of education. Quitting teaching was the best decision of my life. You won't regret it. This is honestly terrifying, seeing how many teachers wanting to quit. Teachers deserve better than this.
Teachers have always deserved better than this.
Teachers who want out or teachers who have
everything.
already left, and it's the best decision they made. By the way, this video was posted 1 week ago. It has over 2 million views and over 292,000 likes. The algorithm found every burnt out teacher in America.
I live like this.
What the?
So that my students can live like this.
You should be able to do
So
both.
how can I afford to do this on a teacher's salary? The answer is I can't. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I am beyond broke.
That's effed. Teachers deserve way better than this.
These are the people that we're losing. Teachers who are willing to live paycheck to paycheck to nurture the next generation. A survey found nearly 97% of teachers use their own money to buy classroom supplies.
That shouldn't
Teachers
be a
earning
thing.
between $35,000 to $50,000 are spending $700 out of pocket each school year for kids to have pencils. Critical thinking is becoming a class marker who can actually question things. But this is to be expected. For years, education has been systematically devalued, defunded, and deprioritized. But who truly benefits from a population that can't read, can't write, can't think critically, and ask questions? These same tech companies creating these problems are selling the solution. The same government that claims prosperity is defunding schools, while at the same time using our tax dollars to build yet another AI data center.
What every educator on this app is talking about, and what every educator in the field is noticing, is a dramatic decline in basic critical reasoning skills and basic literacy skills among students. This is particularly pronounced among high school age students, where they're engaging with more complex material and can't grasp basic concepts or manage basic memory about those concepts. And what this is creating is a generation entering the workforce without basic comprehension skills that is going to make it very hard for them to keep and maintain any form of employment. On the inverse of this, we're seeing kids in more affluent families being not only pulled out of the public school system and sent to things like Montessori schools, but being pulled away from technology, not given access to anything more than, say, a TV or a video game station until they're a teenager. No tablets, no phones, things like that. And what they're doing to...
You know what? I think that's a good thing. We shouldn't have kids with, like, you know what? We should get them you need a cell phone? Cool. You're going to get the cell phone with T9 texting like we had, that you want to entertain yourself. You got a Nokia 3310 that you can play Snake on it. You can spell boob. That's your entertainment. No internet on that phone. No. No internet. Your phone should just be a phone. And you want to play games? Here's your game console. Oh, the game doesn't have access to the internet? Well, cool. Just blow into the cartridge, okay? Shut the fuck up.
Time instead is the normal childhood stuff of playing outside, reading a book, coloring sheets, all of these things that seem like play but are actually building soft skills that make someone much better able to navigate the world around them as they get older. The gap is not going to be who can use AI and who cannot. The gap is not going to be who is an all-star on the ACT with a full ride and who is not. The gap is going to be who can reason in a basic way and
I blew into a USB
and those
cord
that
to wake up
cannot will
CarPlay
probably
yesterday.
be left behind.
Yeah. In my generation,
So Elon Musk,
we learned how to give blowjobs to our electronics so that we could make them work. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break for a second. I'm going to go refill my water, take a bathroom break while I'm at it. So we're just going to run ads so y'all don't get disturbed with ads along the way. So we'll do that. Then we're going to roll into the next video, which is about the K-Trucks. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but Toyota's releasing a new K-Truck. And it may actually be... I've been a fan of K-Trucks for years. But let me go get some more water and quickly take care of nature's business, and we'll be right back. Where's the button? There's the button. All right. So this is a on the K truck. Apparently Toyota is releasing a new $7,000 K truck. If you're not familiar with the K truck, it's these very small utilitarian trucks that are in Japan, and they're very cost effective. Like, there's a whole scene around these, but you generally can't import them to the USA unless they're at least 25 years old because of, all the rules and regulations. We have a lot of dumb regulations when it comes to auto regulations. It's really dumb. There is really no real idea of a concept anymore of a global car that you can buy everywhere in the world because of these stupid regulations. But I've always wanted to get like a small little truck. Like, these would be perfect for me because I do like jobs where I just want to do stuff around the house, and I just need a small little pickup to go to the store, pick up what I need to do, pick up some wood or tools and everything, or maybe just a beater truck around the town, or even like for the average everyday person, you don't need to buy a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 car. You just need like a tiny car like this. But yeah, so one of the few things that I actually agree with Trump on is he did at one point make a comment that we should be make K trucks in the USA and have them in the USA. He wants K trucks, but only if they're made in the USA. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that because it's going to be a whole big investment, and yeah. But anyway.
Toyota's CEO just announced something that no other automaker has dared to attempt, bringing a K-truck to America. If you've been completely priced out of the new truck market and feel like affordable, practical pickups disappeared decades ago, prepare for a big storm, because this isn't just about affordability, it's about changing.
I feel like we haven't had an affordable truck that, we can use since like the Ford Ranger. It's an effing Ford Ranger!
Paradigm. Design. The Daihatsu Hi-Jet has been a workhorse in Japan since 1960, going through 11 generations of refinement. And now, thanks to recent policy changes, this compact hauler is about to make its American debut. While other manufacturers chase luxury features and expensive technology,
I don't need that
this
crap.
truck takes the opposite approach. It prioritizes function, durability, and affordability in ways the American market hasn't seen in decades. Here's what makes this situation particularly interesting. Daihatsu operates as a subsidiary of Toyota, which means this small pickup could easily arrive wearing Toyota badges instead. That simple branding shift would provide instant market recognition among buyers who already trust the nameplate. The truck's design philosophy centers on maximizing utility within strict dimensional constraints, resulting in a cab-over layout that puts the driver directly above the front axle. Think about backing a traditional pickup into a tight loading dock or maneuvering around equipment in a crowded warehouse. The cab-over design eliminates the long hood entirely, giving drivers an unobstructed view of what's directly in front of the bumper. No more guessing where the front end sits or relying on someone outside to guide you into position. The exterior follows what engineers call a tough functionalist approach. There's nothing here that doesn't serve a purpose. Recent updates brought LED lighting options and refined aerodynamics, but the overall shape remains unmistakably utilitarian. Styling takes a backseat to capability, which is exactly what
I just need a truck that can do preferably four-wheel drive, or at least all-wheel drive. There is a difference. For those of you that don't know, there's a transfer case and usually differential locks with four-wheel drive. I need a truck bed. I need heat. I need AC. And ideally, a stereo. Doesn't have to be an amazing stereo. I can put my own Alpine speakers in, but I need to have a stereo. Just something that I can, plug my phone into. It doesn't need to have a screen. Just music. Just let me charge my phone, put a little cradle on the, the dash, and then use my phone as a GPS. Don't need Apple CarPlay. If it's there, that's cool. If it's not, I'm okay. That's all I need. Just have it haul a few thousand pounds of crap. If I need to go get some, rocks or patio stones or lumber or whatever, that's perfect for me. And then just a second car. Nothing, fancy, just the main car is in the shop. Okay, now I got my beater.
Buyers need. But looks don't mean much if the truck can't fit where you need it to go, which is why the actual measurements tell the real story.
Look how tiny that thing is.
This is where things get fascinating.
Okay.
The Hi-Jet measures exactly 133.7 inches in total length and 58.1 inches in width.
I could fit that thing in my backyard. Just keep that in the backyard until it's ready to go, in the fenced-in area. Perfect.
Context, that's roughly the size of a compact car, yet it hauls cargo-like vehicles twice its footprint. Height varies by configuration, starting at 70.1 inches for standard models and stretching to 74.2 inches in high roof and jumbo variants.
Now, ladies, you all know that 4 inches makes a difference, right? Seen a few of those types of small trucks here in Norway. Yeah, over in Europe, they have access to a lot of the smaller cars. In America, we, for some reason, have a compensation issue where we feel like we need these big trucks. But here's the thing. If you actually look at the capabilities of these pickup trucks that America has today, they're not really all that more capable than the smaller Toyotas and Ford Rangers and all that we had in the 90s. You know what I'm talking about. You see these F-150s and how tall they are? Compare it to like the Ford, was it F-100, F-150s of the 90s and the Ford Rangers. It's not capable of doing all that much differently.
Sits at 74.8 inches, delivering a turning radius of approximately 11.8 feet. Anyone who tried to turn around a full-size truck on a narrow farm road knows the struggle of multiple point turns. This truck eliminates that frustration entirely. It navigates tight job sites, narrow warehouse districts, and cramped parking situations that would leave conventional pickups stuck. But here's where...
Think about it this way. You're doing a project in your yard, okay? You ain't gonna back up a full freaking Ford F-150 or a Dodge Ram to, your backyard unless you have a big-ass yard. I'm talking like the average homeowner backyard size. This little guy, I could back that right up to my fire pit and be like, here's the logwood. The logs are gonna be burning. I could actually, drive that in the backyard. I could drive that around my backyard. Probably around the fire pit, too. I know I can, because I did that with the scissor lift. Now, it took a few multiple point turns, but I could do it. Put some tires on it like that. Those AT tires right there.
Cab-over design really pays off. By placing the driver above the front axle instead of behind a long hood, engineers freed up maximum space for the cargo bed. Standard configurations provide over 6.3 feet of bed length. That's genuine hauling capacity, not the abbreviated beds found on many crew cab pickups. Bed floor sits just 26 inches off the ground. If you've ever
6.3 feet of bed. You could haul 8 feet sheet of plywood just popping out. That's a real utility truck right there. Maybe not like a big boy project kind of thing, but for the average project, DIYer, this is perfect. Oh, you need to go do some ham radio equipment. Throw the antennas and all that shit in the back. Get all the stuff, you need. Oh, you're going to do some gardening and everything. Take that to Lowe's or Home Depot. Fill it up with all the plants and everything in the bed. Oh, you're going to be doing some patio work. Okay. Go to Lowe's, Home Depot, load up the stones and everything you need. Maybe haul everything in a couple of trips. Oh, you're building a fire pit. Probably could fit all the materials you need for a fire pit in that bed.
Spent a day loading heavy materials into a high-riding truck. This lower height makes a tangible difference in physical fatigue by the end of a shift. All three sides of...
Holy shit. Look at that. Look at that. I just want...
Lower height makes a tangible difference in physical fatigue.
Look at that. Look at that. You can have a little crane there. That's freaking sweet. Imagine, but if you could somehow get me 20 feet up in the air with something like... I don't doubt you could do that with the range there, but... The idea is there. You could actually use that as a real utilitarian truck. You're a landscaper. You could do a lot with these trucks.
By the end of a shift, all three sides of the bed drop down independently, transforming the truck into a flatbed platform. This allows forklift loading from any angle and accommodates oversized items that wouldn't fit in a conventional pickup. Jumbo cab...
Yep, plywood will work on that. Drop down one side, strap it up. Yep, that's a good project truck right there.
Models drop to 5.4 feet of bed length, but they compensate with a pass-through that extends usable length to 68.9 inches for materials like lumber or pipe. Of course, all that cargo space is
So when you're laying down the pipe, you got that length.
if you can't work comfortably for an entire shift.
Is a bed extender.
Let's
That's
see what's
even
waiting
nice.
inside.
That's better.
Interior design. The cab comes in multiple configurations, each targeting specific use cases. Standard models focus on essential functionality, while high-roof versions add vertical clearance for taller operators.
Nice.
Or those wearing hard hats. The jumbo cab extends rearward, creating enough space for reclining seats and reducing fatigue during extended shifts.
Okay.
Entry height sits at a low 16.3 inches, and doors open at a wide 67-degree angle.
Ooh.
For delivery drivers making dozens of stops per day, that low step-in and wide door opening prevents the accumulated wear that comes from constantly climbing into elevated cabs. Inside, the design emphasizes durability over luxury.
You know what? I like that. I like that. That's a very nice layout. Like, the only thing I probably need in there is a safe under the seat. But a boom boom. You know, just a little safe in there, bolted to the frame. That's about all I need extra in that. And see, we got a little touchscreen in there. So you could still do Apple CarPlay and stuff. But you know what I really like? It's got the slider knobs. You know, like the back in the day, you know what I'm talking about if you're a 90s kid. You didn't have that digital, you know, like knob kind of thing. You just had the slide under thing. Yeah.
Dashboard surfaces are built to withstand years of commercial use, with materials chosen for longevity rather than soft touch appeal. Storage solutions include open trays, size for clipboards and mobile devices, dedicated cup holders, and an overhead shelf in upper trims. These aren't premium features. They're practical accommodations for people who work from their vehicles. The jumbo cab brings the most substantial comfort upgrades. Driver seats slide 5.5 inches longitudinally, while passenger seats offer 4 inches of adjustment. Headroom accommodates operators up to 6 feet 3 inches while wearing protective headgear. Higher-end models introduce digital integration with screens ranging from 6.8 to 9 inches, supporting Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Daihatsu Connect telematics.
I really don't need much more than that. Like, most Americans don't need much more than that.
Business owners managing multiple vehicles, these systems allow remote monitoring of vehicle location and performance. But a comfortable cabin doesn't matter if the truck can't handle the work, which brings us to what's powering this compact hauler. Powertrain. Under the front seats sits a 658 cubic centimeter 3-cylinder engine designated KFVE.
For a tiny little guy, that's good.
At 5,700 RPM and 44.25 pound-feet of torque at 4.
It's going to be sipping on gas. And what I love about it, it's not like, oh, we got a Hemi in this thing. Are you ever going to be hauling shit? No, I'm going to haul my fat ass in it. You don't need more than that. That's like truly utility. God knows you're going to be paying like nothing in terms of gas.
1,000 RPM. Those figures sound modest until you remember the truck weighs less than a typical crossover and is geared specifically for low-speed hauling. Four-wheel drive operates electronically with 3 modes handle different conditions.
There is a four-wheel drive version.
Only the rear wheels for maximum efficiency. Four-wheel drive auto monitors wheel slip continuously, engaging the front axle automatically when traction drops.
Perfect for, you know, people that live in the snow and stuff like me. Like with this weather, tiny little guy like that probably be great to haul around things. Oh no, let me go to the store and get a bunch of rock salt. Fills up bed, has rock salt, lifts up bed, dumps rock salt. I've always wanted one of these.
Lock provides a fixed 50-50 torque split for maximum grip in snow or mud.
Ooh.
Trim levels. The lineup starts with the standard trim featuring manual air conditioning, power steering, and halogen headlights.
Now, when they say manual air conditioning, do they mean like you gotta like manually pump that? No, I'm just kidding.
Agricultural special variant adds rear differential lock and heavy-duty 4-leaf rear springs supporting higher loads in rural applications. An oversized
Not that
LED
I would
cargo
need that,
light
but that's
comes
nice.
standard, recognizing that farm work doesn't stop at sunset. High roof models extend cabin height while adding overhead storage. The extra trim introduces power windows, power folding mirrors, and keyless push-start systems. This grade targets small business.
Do we really need push to start?
Owners using the truck as their primary daily driver. Jumbo Standard and Jumbo Extra represent top-tier configurations. Jumbo Extra includes LED headlights with adaptive driving beam and exclusive color options like Fire Quartz Red Metallic. Specialized configurations extend well beyond flatbeds. Dump Series trucks feature reinforced hydraulic lifting mechanisms and heavy-duty steel beds for construction applications. The deck van combines a 4-door passenger cabin seating 4 with a small open bed. Refrigerated and freezer models serve food delivery.
Like, that's nice. Like, you could get a tiny-ass family car right there. I want these so bad.
While lift-equipped versions...
Price, these apparently start around, like, $7,000. And what I remember is the highest-end model, with some features maybe beyond the higher-end models, but about $12,000 on the top end.
Handle heavy equipment loading. Smart Assist 3 safety systems come with higher trims utilizing twin stereo cameras to identify vehicles, pedestrians, and lane markings. The system includes automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, and adaptive cruise control. Vehicle stability control and traction control come standard across most grades. All those features and configurations sound impressive, but none of it would matter without such an attractive price tag. Release date and price. The timeline for American availability looks surprisingly aggressive. With regulatory approval in place, initial units are expected to reach dealerships within the next 2 to 3 years.
I've been looking to get a new car in like 2 to 3 years. Could this be my new daily driver? Maybe. I don't think I'd get rid of my main car, though. Still got plenty of life in it, but it's not.
Toyota's involvement could accelerate that process, particularly if the company decides to rebadge the Hi-Jet for better market recognition. Pricing is where this truck becomes truly revolutionary. In its home market, the Hi-Jet sells for approximately 1.02 to 1.53 million yen, depending on configuration. That translates to roughly $7,000 to $11,000 at current exchange rates. Compare that against the current market. Full-size trucks now routinely exceed $50,000 in popular configurations.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
Mid-size models start around $35,000. Compact pickups begin near $30,000 and climb quickly with options. The Hi-Jet arrives at a third of that entry price, creating a completely new segment below anything currently available. For contractors trying to add a second or third truck to their operation without financing that rivals a mortgage payment, this price point removes the barrier entirely. The value proposition extends beyond the purchase price. Maintenance costs remain remarkably low thanks to simple mechanical design and proven components. The KFVE engine uses a timing chain rather than a belt, eliminating a common service expense. Routine
Okay, if you don't know why I'm clapping, that's one of the things I absolutely loved about my Jeep. When I used to have a Jeep, before Stellantis ruined it, they had a timing chain, not a belt. So you just had to check it once in a while, because chains can potentially stretch, but you never had to worry about it. And that inline 6 on those old Cherokees was the champ of durability. I have literally seen that thing get flooded. And then my dad took it to a mechanic and then just literally said, drop a new battery in it. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, the engine's flooded. He's like, drop a new battery in it, crank it, and let's see what happens. So he's doing it, cranking it for like a few minutes, on and off doing it. Eventually that thing sputters to life, starts kicking out all the mud and debris and everything like that. When it got flooded, I mean, like, there was an actual flood, water, rain. Once it kicked all that crud out, mechanic said, all right, now we just got to replace the fluids. Did the fluids, clean the engine, new plugs. That truck lasted another 50,000 miles or so until it died when it hit a deer and rolled 3 times. Okay? Dad was cranking it. Well, how do you think I was made?
Maintenance intervals run every 3,000 miles with typical cost between $200 and $400. The Daihatsu Hi-Jet represents...
Wait, 200 and 400 miles for what?
eliminating a common service expense. Routine maintenance intervals run every 3,000 miles with typical cost between $200 and $400. The Daihatsu Hi-Jet represents something the American truck market hasn't seen in generations, a return to the fundamentals that made pickups indispensable tools rather than luxury statements. With its compact 133.7-inch length, 76.4-inch cargo bed, tight 11.8-foot turning radius, and proven engine achieving 38.8 miles per gallon,
God damn! Almost 40 miles a gallon!
this K-Truck delivers genuine work capability in spaces where conventional pickups simply can't operate. Whether it arrives wearing Daihatsu or Toyota badges, the $7,000 starting price creates an entirely new segment, making it accessible to small business owners, contractors, and farmers who've been completely priced out of the new truck market. The question moving forward isn't whether demand exists, it's whether Toyota can import enough units to satisfy the thousands of buyers who've been waiting decades for exactly this solution. But Toyota's pickup expansion won't stop there. If you'd rather go for something bigger but still super affordable, then you definitely want to check out our video about Hilux Champ. With its
Oh, the Hilux. Those are legendary. Yeah.
affordability and unmatched flexibility, this is going to be another Toyota that changes the way we look at pickup trucks.
Yeah. I definitely want one of them trucks. Okay, so, got another video here. This is from Anastasian Tech. The microchip breakthrough no one expected. This is having to do with the Furiosa, inference card. We've talked a little bit about those, because we went through the website. But I really think this could help alleviate some of the power consumption issues, because the majority of what data centers are being done for in terms of AI is not actually for training the models, it's for inference. The Hilux is our farmer truck here. Yeah, I wish I could get a Hilux. Like, there are such great trucks outside of America, and I don't think Americans realize, outside of an effing Ford Ranger, what great trucks exist outside the world. And I know, Toyota makes great trucks. I'm not knocking them. But the American Toyota trucks, the Japanese market has some better, trucks that we don't even have over here. And Europe has some amazing trucks that, and cars in general, we don't have over here. Like, the Americans do not realize how far behind the auto industry is in America. The country that made the auto industry what it is today. That's why we don't import Chinese cars, because they would literally decimate the American market. And if you don't believe me on that, even the Ford CEO said that, because he's driving a Xiaomi car as part of his research for market research. That's his own personal car. And he's even said the Chinese are so far ahead in terms of auto industry. It's ridiculous. But yeah. The Toyota 4Runner is an SUV that shares a frame with the Hilux. Or Fortuner? Or do you mean 4Runner? But yeah, I mean, the 4Runner is great. Australian Utes. The Australian Utes! My cousin Vinny. Check out the Hyundai H100. That's our small business truck. Nice little truck. I mean, Hyundai makes some pretty good stuff too. But the Hyundais that we have here in the USA, not that great. Anyway, let's get into this Furiosa card.
For years, we all watched AI follow the same pattern. Build bigger models, throw more GPUs at them, and then extend the data centers. Intelligence followed. That era is ending because something fundamental has changed. Power stopped scaling. Right now, we are hitting hard energy limits everywhere in the world, including the United States.
So, to case in point here, Satya Nadella of Microsoft, it'll forever be Microsoft at this point. They've said that they're buying hardware that they are putting into racks that they don't have any power to because there's not enough power to power them up. So they're literally stockpiling hardware they can't even frickin' use.
is the clearest warning sign. Every single month, tens of gigawatts of new data center requests hits the grid.
It sounds like it's a Slavic accent. It could be Ukrainian. It could be, Russian. I don't know.
And almost none get approved. The grid is...
Thoughts on Okta as a multi-factor chief. They say it's good at the same time it got hacked. Yeah, Okta is fine, and I think people need to move away from the idea of, oh, this company got compromised. The reality is every company is probably going to get compromised at some point in time. You need to look at how they handled the compromise rather than that they were compromised. And in those cases, it was the few that I know of, most of them were due to the tenants themselves not doing permissions as well as they could have. The clients. In other ones, it's, they've gone into the infrastructure, and you're talking about, like, state-level attacks, like state actors.
Actively sold out. And it's not just Texas. From Virginia to Ohio to the West Coast, the story is the same. The grid is full, and extending that grid takes years. When 1 gigawatt of AI compute can generate you tens of billions of dollars per year, waiting isn't an option.
Tens of billions of dollars a year from a gigawatt? No, most of these AI companies are running at a deficit, so nah, I doubt that is making them that much money.
So AI labs stopped waiting and built their own power plants. On-site generation is exploding. Gas turbines, batteries, private power plants. As a chip design engineer, I see this as a system problem. And the only realistic way out of this is not by generating more.
Can we just talk about the fact that I think her little power suit here is way too big for her? Like, I'm not trying to knock her, but it looks like you're a little child in your, mother or father's suit here. Just get something a little bit more fitted for you. It'd look nicer.
It's by changing how computation itself is done. Subscribe to the channel and let me explain. This story starts with a Korean founder who turned down a $1 billion acquisition offer from Meta. His name is Jun Paik. He was a senior engineer at Samsung. He had a solid career, a safe trajectory, until a soccer injury took him out for months. He was stuck in bed, and he started to study AI end-to-end. Models, math, systems, how software actually maps into silicon. And that's when it actually clicked. Yoon realized that the next ceiling in AI won't be algorithms. It would be power. AI would need a new way to compute, because power would no longer scale the way it used to. And if that's true, then the winning chip will not be the one with the most brute force. It's the one that can do the same work using less power.
Yep.
And at this point, he walked away from his role at Samsung to build something from scratch. Because at the time, brute force was everywhere. GPUs ruled AI, inference, training, everything. And that wasn't an accident. Because GPUs were built for graphics. And what is graphics? It's math. Lots of math at massive scale. Think about a 4K screen. Millions of pixels, updated dozens of times per second. Each pixel needs the same math, over and over, all done in parallel. That's exactly what GPUs are good at. Huge amounts of simple math done simultaneously. So when AI arrived, GPUs were already there. The world's best math machines. And that worked for a long time. But GPUs were never designed with energy as a constraint.
Case in point, the NVIDIA 4090s and 5090s that are pushing those new PCI Express power connectors to their limit that they're catching on fire, and you have to worry about the safety issues around them. You now have to design computers for these high-end, like 1,000 watt or so. Like, I remember growing up, your graphics card didn't need PCI Express power or anything. You used to have an AGP slot that could actually give more than enough power. Maybe at most you would throw a 4-pin Molex connector on it. And then we got the PCI Express specific power connectors that needed to be done. Like, yeah, we're now at the point that GPUs are using, like, they're the biggest power suck of your entire rig. Like, I think, what is it, the 5090 can suck more than 450 watts or so. And you're already putting 75 watts through the PCI Express bus, so it's like insane. My 5070 Ti that I upgraded to, I think it has a 170 watt limit. Hold on, we can check that out. 300 watts. Sorry, it has a 300 watt, 100 watt limit. And right now, it's using about 46 watts just doing this stuff. Yeah, so just doing this right now, like, I'm going to run this for a second, see.
They were designed to be fast, flexible, and general. That was fine when power was cheap and the grid had slack. Now, energy became...
Yeah, and now it's rendering a video and it's about 55 watts. So, like, this is the biggest power suck of most people's computers. Unless you're using, like, an AMD APU. It's a little bit more efficient, but yeah.
Trained. And he founded Furiosa AI with a clear promise.
So from the very beginning, our goal was to build efficient and high-performance inference chips designed to serve AI at scale in data centers and infrastructure.
They've built an NPU, Neural Processing Unit. They called it Warboy, a chip designed for just one job, running AI inference when power is tight.
I want one of those.
To understand why an NPU exists at all, you need to understand the mismatch. Neural networks run on simple operations. Multiply, add, then repeat millions and then billions of times. Traditional chips were not built for that pattern. A CPU is built for complex, one-at-a-time work, branching logic, making decisions, and it's brilliant at that, but it's terribly inefficient at repetitive math. A GPU was a major step up because it can do the same operation across huge blocks of data in parallel. That's why it unlocked modern AI.
That's why there's
but they are still general purpose. And that flexibility costs energy.
So GPU, if you're not familiar with that term, is General Purpose Graphics Processing Unit. So we used to use it for, like, back in the day, there was, like, folding at home or a bunch of at-home projects. So folding at home was a way that people could actually donate idle GPU time to be able to fold proteins for, like, Alzheimer's research, disease research, things like that, because, you know, a lot of the things that a supercomputer would require, so it would distribute the work across workers around the world. And that was what people used to do for fun. I even had my computer set that when idle, do folding at home calculations. So I go to bed, and then I would just do, you know, folding at home overnight. And, you know, you would see people do that, and then cryptocurrency got involved, and people were like, well, I want to make money with my shit. You know, fuck them diseases. And now we're at the point where data centers are buying up all the GPUs just to, and, well, memory specifically, to do GPU inferencing and training. So as I recall, these Furiosa cards, they're really good at inference. If you don't know what inference is, that's basically when, like, you're running the LLM and you're just having it talk. That's just inference. Now, training, my understanding is a GPU is still better at that.
Just at scale, moving data around starts to dominate the power bill. An NPU gives up that generality. It's a purpose-built accelerator for one task, inference. Essentially, it's what happens after a model is trained, when it takes real input and produces real output. Every prompt you put in Gemini or ChatGPT, image and video processing, wildfire detection, all of that is inference. And at the core, inference is a very repetitive math, input data multiplied by learned weights, over and over again. So instead of building a flexible machine, you build a factory for that one operation. Inside the chip, you pack thousands of tiny cores, tiny circuits called MAC units, multiply accumulate units, and each one does exactly the same thing. Multiply two numbers and then add the result to the running total. But this is where Furiosa technology goes beyond standard neural engines. The real breakthrough is in how the data moves. Traditional chips follow the von Neumann model. Fetch data from the memory, compute, store it back, repeat. And that constant back and forth is what kills efficiency. Well, that's a problem, because in modern AI workloads, that moving data around now consumes even more energy than the computation itself. NPUs replace it with a special data flow architecture called systolic array, in order to perform large matrix multiplications without using memory at all. Here, instead of pulling data in and out of memory, data flows synchronically through the compute units like a pulse. What's beautiful, each piece of data gets reused every time as it passes through the array. In this way, those numbers stay on the chip and get reused, instead of being pulled from the memory over and over. And that makes a huge difference for power consumption. By keeping the hot data on the chip, you cut memory traffic, and that's where most of the power savings come from. That helps, but it doesn't solve the hardest part. Real inference workloads don't look so neat. Data reuse patterns shift constantly. Classic NPU designs really struggle here. Furiosa...
So there's a lot of NPUs, like, I think the Pi has a NPU. But there's a lot of single board computers, like, I want to say like the Pine 64, I think it was the Star 64 had an NPU. There's quite a few out there, but generally those NPUs were not really as efficient as you would like them to be. They're great for you to tinker around with, experiment and all that, but generally not good enough for production-ready loads, so yeah.
Tackle this problem heads-on. Instead of forcing workloads to fit the hardware, they designed the hardware in a way that it manages to fit the workload. And we will break down how it works in a minute, and the moment it became the turning point for Furiosa's future. But before that, do you remember how all of that started? Yoon decided to learn AI end-to-end, and that single decision changed his whole life trajectory. Which brings me to this. It's January again. Most people have already made their resolutions. But the smartest one will be focusing on one skill which will matter the most in 2026. AI. Looking at how fast things are moving, 2026 is the year AI reaches maturity across real products and real jobs.
Cameras.
Yet many people still haven't learned
They had it.
That's why I recommend you joining me for this 2-day AI workshop by Outskill. They're hosting a live training this Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. EST on both days. More than 10 million professionals worldwide have already attended Outskill trainings. People from marketing,
I just do it in a home lab.
Engineering is attending this because it isn't something specific to any industry, but now needed across every of them. And the timing matters because right now, as a part of their New Year Upskilling Fest, you can join this training for free instead of the usual $395. This is where you learn how to build AI agents and automate workflows across tools like Sheets, Notion, and CRMs. You will also learn how to use AI to save hours weekly. If you attend both days, you will receive additional bonuses: the AI Prompt Bible, the AI Profit Roadmap, and your personalized AI Toolkit Builder. Seats are limited, so register right now through the link below or scan the
That's what I
QR
think of that
code
content.
here. And remember to join the WhatsApp community to stay updated before the training starts. Tensors power everything from smartphone photos to black hole simulations, yet they start as a simple array of numbers. A number, like room temperature or a letter, is a zero-dimensional tensor. Line those numbers up and you get a one-dimensional tensor, like a word. Stack vectors into rows and columns and you create a two-dimensional tensor. That is a matrix. Now stack those matrices, add depth, and you arrive at a three-dimensional tensor. Example is a color image. Height times width times RGB channels. That multi-dimensional array is what we call a tensor. Each extra dimension gives you room to pack richer structure. And to go fast, models process many tensors at once. And actually the hard part is not computing the tensors, it's moving them into the right shape at the right time. Furiosa AI chip does something smarter. Instead of forcing the data to match the hardware adapts to the data.
Oh,
what happens is NPUs rearrange tensors internally, which means they fuse them, split them, reorder them, so frequently used data stays very close to compute.
Okay.
In vision models, nearby pixels get reused again and again. In language
I can see how that could actually speed up inference.
Are reused across thousands of tokens. The basic idea is the neural engine reorganizes this data around reuse, which means less data movement and less energy. Think of it like a kitchen. A GPU is a very fast chef who keeps running back to the pantry, while neural engine first lays out everything on the counter and never leaves the workspace. That gap barely matters at the small scale, but at the data center scale, that difference is the energy bill. Beyond what we've discussed so far, there are a couple of more clever decisions hiding under the hood. And the first one is clock. You know, clock...
Like, if I recall, one of these cards could outdo a 5090 in inference, if I'm not mistaken, at 1/3 the energy.
Like a heartbeat of a chip. Very important signal. And this particular chip runs at very conservative 1 gigahertz clock. And that's intentional. The
only
thing
1
is,
gigahertz?
the power chip spends on the operation scales with frequency and with square of the voltage. And lower clock means less power spent. Instead of pushing frequency, this chip scales throughput through parallelism, reuse, and locality. Which brings me to the next point. This chip features massive on-chip SRAM memory.
Now, the interesting thing about this was, I thought that was random number generator or something like that. They actually just call it Renegade. That's how they call this.
Just imagine, each compute slice has large local memory. And across the chip, this adds up to hundreds of megabytes. It's used to store results of billions of small calculations. Why this matters is simple. This memory is pretty large, it's fast, and it's cheap because it sits right next to the compute engine. So instead of constantly streaming data in and out of external memory, chip keeps it on the die. Weights stay local. Activations get reused. Intermediate tensors never leave the chip. This is where a big part of efficiency is coming from. Then they've built a more advanced version of it, Renegade chip. The chip...
They call it Renegade. I looked that up. They call it Renegade. Which I thought was kind of cool because we're the Renegade Penguins. Yeah, but and also, if you look, they have 2 HBM3 stacks, 48 gigabytes of memory total on each of these cards. So, like, I would love to get a few of these, but I think these are still going to be kind of expensive in terms of initial costs until we figure it out, because I'm still looking at getting 2 DGX Sparks one day.
2 high-bandwidth memories integrated with a processor using COWS as interposer from TSMC. They manufactured the chip at 5 nanometers TSMC technology. Then hardware and software were redefined together as one system. When the chip was finally ready, they brought it to Hot Chips conference at Stanford. And this was the moment, the first time when the work stepped into the light. Furiosa AI showed their chip running Meta's Llama model, and it did so with more than twice power efficiency of high-end NVIDIA GPUs. Well, the numbers make that concrete. Furiosa AI runs at 150 watts, while high-end GPUs run at least at 350 watts. And
the 5090s and stuff like that run a lot more. I think, 450, 500 watts? And as we talked about, my 5070 Ti, I think, as I said, is 300 watts. Yeah, 300 watts.
This generations, these numbers keep climbing, with the latest Blackwell pushing well beyond 1000 watts.
Yep.
On standard inference performance benchmarks, Furiosa demonstrated roughly 40% better performance per watt. And that difference compounds. At data center scale, this is significant. It translates into less cooling required and far lower operating costs. And of course, this didn't
Here's
go
the new debt in
unnoticed by
2026.
Meta, because Meta is very serious about AI, and not just about the models. Meta also builds its own silicon. They operate at massive data
forget
center
that Meta
scale,
makes their own
and this is
silicon.
not slowing down. When a new AI chip shows an efficiency gap like that, they pay attention. So Meta reportedly tried to acquire Furiosa AI for almost $1 billion. Furiosa said no. What matters more is what happened next. The chip started to show up in real deployments. And that tells you just as much as the offer itself. OpenAI used the chip for a public demo in Seoul. Then LG AI Research put it through a much longer test, 7 months of evaluation on real LLM workloads. The result was clear. About 2.5 times better performance
I want one or
per
two
watt
of
compared
those.
to GPU-based solutions. And that led to a commercial deal with LG, and now they're bringing it into their data centers. And right now, Furiosa's latest chip is in mass production. That's the point where technology moved from the lab into real infrastructure. That chip and that story matters a lot because it cuts power dramatically, and this changes the economics. It actually changes where AI can run without further expanding a power and cooling infrastructure. And it changes who can deploy it at scale. And chances are you've already used an NPU, a neural engine, just not in a data center. Neural engines started appearing in smartphones already a decade ago.
But I've been wanting to get like those for a while. I still want to get a couple NVIDIA DGX Sparks if I ever have the money, and then connect them over ConnectX-7 for, 200 gigabit per second networking, because then I could actually run 400B models, or at least have the capability to do 400 billion parameters. But I would love to be able to slap that in, keep my 5060 Ti in the same Franken LLM box, get one of those Furiosa cards in for inference. If I could get a couple of those, that would be even better, because I could then use the 5060 Ti for training and running embedded LLMs on information, and then you could use the Furiosa for inference. But I'd have to see how that would actually work. Could it be capable of working with like Ollama, or would I have to re-architect everything? Because I currently have a lot of the stuff go through Ollama and OpenWebUI. OpenWebUI being how I actually connect to my LLMs. For example, here I can show you if you haven't seen this before. So this is my local AI over here. You know, we've done some tests over here, so I have a bunch of different LLMs over here split across 2 different GPUs. The hell? I am noticing some are missing. That's weird. I know I have bigger models than that. Are they being used right now? That's weird. Okay. I'll have to look into that. But, yeah.
They are built into an SoC.
Oh, the video is only like 20 minutes. We're almost done.
First, they were used for face recognition, photo enhancements, and voice processing.
Hold on, I gotta open up my terminal over here so I can do something on the side.
Imagine the tasks that have to run constantly on the background and have to be fast without draining the battery. Then they moved into laptops. Well, probably the most famous NPU today is Apple's neural engine. This one works quite well, not because it's unusually powerful, but because they managed to integrate it so deeply into the system. The strategy is to offload the AI tasks to neural engines, so CPU and GPU can do other work and save the battery. While Furiosa AI is applying a similar idea at the data center scale. And to be fair, they are not the only one having this idea. And this is where things start to get really interesting, because the real competition of Furiosa is not GPUs. It's other purpose-built AI chips. Like Google has its own Tensor chip, which is the most beautiful example of what
So I
an
think I figured
ASIC
out what
is
happened.
capable of. They've managed to achieve an outstanding performance per
Gotta
dollar.
do some updates.
Amazon's Trainium chip is also playing in the same arena. I will link my deep dive on these two in the description box below so you can check it out later. Well, beyond Google, there are other players pushing custom inference chips, like Cerebras, who has a radically different...
Yeah, that's what's happening. Because I noticed that I only had the basic messages go back out that are my fallback, rather than the LLM generated ones. And the NVIDIA SMI was not even working to report back. So probably just needs a reboot.
For scale
After
design,
it did some updates.
a chip occupying entire 300mm wafer. And then there is a Grok with aggressive architecture. Or rather, was.
No, not that Grok. Not the XAI Grok. Let's just be clear here.
Because they've just sold their hardware assets and the core team to NVIDIA this last December, which is actually another way of saying how strategically important inference has become.
Yep, see, now it's working. And then I'm betting if I reboot this, yep, all my models are back. That was what happened here. So I'm going to have to do some kind of keep alive system there. Figuring out what happened there. But yeah, so I have all these different LLMs there to my 5060 Ti and 3050 that are in my Franken LLM. But yeah.
And that leaves us with very few independent companies still building serious purpose-built chips at scale. I think the next phase in AI will be defined less by who trains the biggest model, but who can train the model in the most efficient way and scale data centers fast.
We've moved past big
for
models.
Hyperscalers, the speed of deployment here becomes the actual mode. At the same time, power is not getting cheaper, and the companies that survive this phase will be the ones that
more
treat
expensive.
energy as the first-class design constraint. Will neural processors like Furiosa AI replace GPUs? Well, no, because GPUs will keep doing what they do the best, right? Peak raw performance for the massive training. Will they reshape inference? Very likely. These new chips will step in where efficiency matters more than raw speed.
And that goes back to what I was saying. Like, I would love to keep the 5060 Ti that I have in here, the one running the bigger models. But then I could replace the 3050 I have, which kind of is just sitting around for an inference model, even though most of these are just doing inference. So the 5060 Ti could be sitting around doing my LLMs training and stuff when I start doing more LLM training and things like that, because I'm going to get more data sets in there for RAG. Retrieval Augmented Generation, and I think that'll be interesting. But yeah, I'd love to get one of those Furiosas to be a lot more efficient, because even if we look at the NVIDIA SMI over here, so if we look at NVIDIA SMI, the 3050, okay, the 180 watts, it technically uses more power than this, but it'd be equal to the power of this 5060 Ti in terms of the power that it's capable of doing. But it would be a lot more capable, because this only has 8 gigabytes of VRAM, for example, and this only has 16, but I think theirs comes with 48, so you could run much larger models without having to scale the power, because the next GPU up in terms of like memory is basically, if I were to jump from a 5060 Ti, you'd have to jump all the way to, I think, the 5090, which is 32 gigabytes. I think the 5080s still have 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Especially for AI that never turns off. Now, if you want to stay up to date with most exciting shifts in AI and technology, subscribe to the channel. And now watch this episode where I explain a new disruptive technology that will challenge both TSMC and ASML. Or watch this one, where we go inside a secret chip
I don't know why I wasn't subscribed
to
to
see
her
the
already. I watched
future
a
of
few
microchips
videos.
under the microscope. You will love it, and I will see you there.
Yep. So the Furiosa, it's something I talked about for a little while. I definitely have been interested in them for a while. I want one so bad. They're entering mass production now. They'll probably still be around the cost of an NVIDIA DGX Spark, to be honest, if not less. Well, maybe less. We'll see. But I've already been eyeing getting 2 NVIDIA DGX Sparks, connecting them over ConnectX 7, because between the two of them, that's 500 watts, and then use that to run really large LLMs. Because I've been wanting to run Qwen 235B inside the house. There's also GPT OSS, which you can get like 200 or some odd billion parameters in there. Gemma has really large LLMs, and I think that'd be really great for me. Because my goal overall is I want to move away from using ChatGPT and all of those. I want to run my own LLMs for my own stuff, so I can start doing my own private processing of data for my own sensitive things. And I'm already starting to use it. Like, I've used it for processing my banking statements on my local machines to convert it into, CSVs and stuff. But I wouldn't trust a lot of my data being fed into a SaaS GPT. I would want to run my own and then set up a ZTNA, Zero Trust Network access, so that way I can access it remotely from anywhere in the world instead of using their things. I think the future, where we really are going to head and what's revolutionary, is local LLMs as to opposed everyone using an LLM SaaS. And I don't mean that in the Microsoft BS way of what they're doing with that. That's a whole square peg in a round hole, but let's move on to the next video here. A Bitcoin water heater. So I've already seen like Bitcoin heaters in the past and stuff. The idea around it is pretty sound. Oh, you're going to already burn that energy, so you may as well make some money off of it. But let's see what this is.
Stop paying for utilities. Those things should be paying you instead. This Bitcoin mining water heater uses one of the world's most overlooked resources as a means to supply your home with hot water. Usually with computers, we consider heat to be a waste product, but that doesn't actually have to be the case. The Superheat H1 uses what they're calling a dual value operation to convert what's about the same amount of energy as a standard run-of-the-mill electric water heater, but all that heat's generated by a crypto mining machine that's actively generating tiny fractions of bitcoins the entire time it's being used. The producers of this thing claim it can generate around $1,000 worth of crypto per year and offset your electric and water bills by around 80%, a number that can also scale up when multiples are installed into large apartment buildings to earn up to nearly $1 million just by heating water.
Okay, so that's interesting. When you bring this to full screen, it doesn't drop frames.
Superheat H1 costs 2,000 US compper up front and would ideally take just around 2 years to pay it for itself, provided it actually works as advertised and crypto prices stay the same as where they are and there's no issues like an exploding water heater. But personally, I'd want to see some user reviews before committing to something this gimmicky. Stop paying.
Yeah, I mean, there's been people doing that, but I mean, you could also solo mine. If you're not familiar with what that is where you're literally just running your own node to mine off the blockchain. And there are people that do that just to get lottery miners, because if you solo mine and you mine a block yourself, all that Bitcoin for the block is yours. Now, the question is, will you ever be able to do that? That's a game of chance, but if you do hit it, at current prices, that's still a few $100,000. I think, what is it, 3 1/8 of Bitcoin per block right now, if I'm not mistaken? But yeah. Okay, so what is this? Do not light this candle.
Light this candle. This candle smells just like an apple orchard, but it's a terrible idea to light it. I tried to light it for a few minutes and didn't understand why everyone was warning me about it. It smelled pretty good, even my friends liked it, but I still had comments saying not to light it. I had to find out why, so I left it lit for over 2 hours and then I realized why you should not light this candle.
Oh my God!
Once this candle stops smelling like apples after a couple hours, it starts smelling like death.
God.
What the hell? Why?
And that is why you should never light the stank prank candle. Let someone else light it for you as a prank.
Fat 90.
Really? Okay. The Sphere Phone Amplifier. What is this?
Speaker. Except it's not. Passive phone amplifier. No power, no Bluetooth, no app. Just geometry doing the work. The shape matters. Flat surfaces bounce sound in one direction. Spheres scatter it everywhere. That's why this fills a room instead of just hitting one wall. Fun fact, high-end speaker companies spend millions engineering cabinet shapes. Round enclosures reduce internal resonance. Less vibration, cleaner sound. This print accidentally follows the same principle. And it looks like a design object, not a gadget, not something you hide in a drawer, something you leave out on purpose. 10 hours to print. The swirl pattern? That's just showing off. But it works. No dead batteries at the beach. No forgetting to charge before a trip. Just drop your phone in and go. Save this for your next functional art piece. Every layer matters, and so do you.
I mean, it's kind of the same idea of you cupping your phone and stuff, or cupping your ears to hear better. It's just directional. But yeah, I mean, interesting still nonetheless. So what is this? Crowd Supply, one of my favorite sites to go to. The Game Tank, an original 8-bit game console. Okay. Put your phone in a cup, pretty much. Funding ends February 26, 2026. They're planning to have a $300 unit, I guess. It looks like a 3D printed device, because, you know, I just can tell by the design and, you know, the flat surface. Okay. So, ImKank is a new video console design based on WCDC's modern version of the venerable 6502 microprocessor, similar in spirit to consoles like the Pico 8 or TIC 80. The Game Tank is set apart by its implementation as a physical hardware device first and an emulator second. Its custom frame buffer-based graphics architecture allows it to produce smoother and more fluid animations than are typical of 8-bit hardware. Additionally, the audio system is highly configurable using a second 6502 as a dedicated sound coprocessor. Uses big chunky cartridges. This system uses big chunky cartridges and outputs NTSC composite video from an RCA jack, so it's pretty much US focused from what I'm seeing, recalling the tactile experience of 90s game consoles. Okay. Besides processors, the system is built out of a basic logic and RAM chips instead of an FPGA or microcontroller. In other words, this isn't just an emulator, it's an entirely new breed of hardware for the next generation of 8-bit games. That is an oxymoron of a statement. An entirely new breed of hardware for the next generation of 8-bit games. Okay? 8-bit era, is sprite refers to a hardware feature. Yeah, so that is an interesting layout for it. Now, the thing that I think is going to be... So the thing is the cartridge. What cartridge is that? Cartridge, custom 36-pin, 0.1 pitch format. Standard board contains 2 megabytes of flash memory. So it's a custom cartridge, but you'd have to develop for it. So this is going to be an extremely niche thing. Yeah, because you're going to have to buy these custom cartridges. And make your own project with it. So it's an interesting project, but the fact that it's using custom cartridges and everything like that, ironically, doesn't really allow much capability around it. Like, I understand why they did it, but I also don't understand why they did it at the same time. No, this isn't for Nintendo Switch. This is its own thing. So, I'll turn off the... I'm turning off the sound here. It's just got music, apparently. So it's going to be its own game console pretty much here. Because I don't recognize really any of these games here. Yeah, I think it's interesting too. Don't get me wrong, it is an interesting project. I just don't know if I would be into it myself. Because, yeah, you'd have to flash the games and do all of that, but nobody's really making games on cartridge anymore, so you'd have to find a community that wants to make the game for it, run it on that, and then, yeah, it's a really interesting concept. It'd be fun to play with, but I don't know if I could take it that seriously. Got another thing you wanted me to look at. Onion Omega 2 Pro, a tiny open source plug-and-play Linux dev board with Wi-Fi and lots of storage. Okay, that might be interesting. Omega 2 Pro is the... Okay, so it's the... they already had the Omega 2. So the storage is preloaded with the OpenWRT embedded Linux distro. So getting started is as easy as plugging in a micro USB cable for power and taking a few minutes to go through the browser-based setup wizard. Interesting that's using OpenWRT. An ideal IoT computer. Okay, so that's where they're targeting, is for Internet of Things. Original Mega came in 2015. Up and running in close to 5 minutes. So, regular USB, micro USB, dip switch over here. I'm presuming that's a GPIO. So it's got OpenWRT 18.06 Linux, Wi-Fi. So, okay, half a gig of RAM. Oh, so 128 megabytes of actual RAM and a 384 megabyte flash swap file. Interesting. So you have 8 gigabytes of storage, but that swap is going to be in there. Isn't that going to hit that hard depending on how you do it? That's another thing, you know. But yeah, you can have it talk to the computer. Interesting. Wi-Fi connects to router and client simultaneously. Okay, so you do have Ethernet built into that GPIO, so you could connect an Ethernet port if you really wanted to with this. It's a nice little dev board from what I can see. Oh, okay. You can use the Omega 2 expansions they already have, so servo, pulse width modulation, Ethernet, relay, proto, so you could easily add Ethernet and stuff to it. Interesting. Okay, so that's the Ethernet module here. So you drop that in, and then you can get Ethernet. Okay. Interesting. And then you have the Onion OS. Host directly on the... Okay. No installation required. Onion OS is based on Linux, so it supports modern languages such as Python, Golang, Node.js. Okay, so that could actually do quite a bit. You could totally run a lot of different Linux stuff inside there, but Python would be kind of heavy for a guy like this. And then, what do we have? Open Printer. Finally, an open hardware printer you can actually understand, repair, and upgrade. So this isn't out yet, but this would actually be cool. You could actually have your own printer that we could actually repair and maintain. If it does networking, that'd be great. So it's open source. It looks like you can attach a roll of paper rather than just 18.5 by 11, 8.5 by 11 paper. It looks like it's pretty simple with the number of components there. What do I do in cybersecurity? I'm a security engineer. Oh, it's got... Is that a cutter it's got built in? No way. I like this. You can choose between standard sheets or a paper roll, so you could do standard sheets as well. But also banners or strips. Look at that! Oh, that is neat. Can do color. 1200 DPI. 600 DPI black and white. So, not too amazing. Printhead compatibility. It can use HP 63. It's HP 63. Ink cartridges, use only one. Black or color, or both black and color. Refillable. Interesting. It's got a Raspberry Pi Zero W. Okay, so it can do Wi-Fi. It's also got Bluetooth capability. Interesting. There's like no video for it to see it, but I totally would be interested in this. Like, I just need an open source printer with an open source scanner that is right to repair friendly. You're damn right I want a printer. I'm tired of HP Instant Ink. I'm tired of HP and your bullshit. The only reason I get HP is because I know it's going to work out the box with, you know, Linux and stuff without much issue. But yeah. So, definitely interested in that. And with it being open source, you know, you could probably maintain that. So I am totally signing up for when that goes live. As long as it doesn't cost more than a regular printer, I think they got a winner. The Epic Erebus. A tiny PCIe direct memory access tool that's fully customizable with an open tool chain and gateware. Okay. Oh, it's tailored for PCI research and DMA attacks. Interesting. So, one could theoretically use this without reading too much more to do those DMA cheats that I've talked about, which is why kernel level anti-cheat doesn't really make too much sense, because you can have it pretend it's out of their hardware and then modify things in the memory. Okay, so this has... That has got to be a typo. That is not 128 gigabytes of DRAM. It's probably 128 or 256 of megabyte of DRAM. It's using an FPGA, so you can probably reprogram it to do anything. So yeah, you could totally use that as a cheat module if one really wanted to get around kernel level anti-cheat and have it emulate itself as a network driver that then is going a network piece of hardware that is then going into your computer to read the memory and then modify it. And it's PCI Express, so like you could totally just F that over. And then we have the Milk 5 Pioneer. So Milk 5, that's the RISC-V workstation. Milk 5 has made systems for years. I actually have a few of their boards over here. These are all Milk 5 boards, like Raspberry Pi equivalents. So these are all running RISC-V, not ARM. This is a totally different architecture than x86 or ARM. RISC-V is totally open sourced. So, the main board is actually these little guys over here. This one's already open, I think. And this is a full Linux computer over here. Those are just connected to the breakout boards. I got these from Hacker Santa when I went to my local DEF CON group. One of the members just had a bunch of RISC-V boards, so I took quite a few. A few others took, some. But this is a RISC-V computer right here. This tiny thing. And that is just 64 of them. And these are made by the same company. So I think this is, what, 1 or 2 cores? This is a dual RISC-V RV64 core on that little board over there. And what is so cool about RISC-V is it's an open source ISA. So unlike x86, where in order to make an x86 CPU, you have to pay for a license to make an x86 product. Even AMD is paying Intel the rights to be able to make x86 hardware. RISC-V is completely open source. Now, currently, RISC-V only works with Linux, as you can imagine. This is a little bit older of a machine, but I've always wanted to pick one of these up because they seem interesting. You can build a full desktop with it, as you can see. There's PCI Express slots. There's DDR, I want to say 4 slots. There's the actual CPU there, 64-core RISC-V. Now, you might be thinking, wow, it's got 64 cores, so it can do a lot. RISC-V is still not optimized as well as we would like it to be. It still has time it needs to mature. But this board is interesting because you got SATA ports over here. You've got eMMC capability over there. It looks like there's the ability to do solder in something over there. But yeah, I've always wanted to pick this one up. So it has a Sophon SG2042 processor, 64 cores with a clock frequency of 2 gigahertz. Those little boards I showed you are 1. Yep, DDR4 memory, and it has ECC support. So you can totally run DDR4 ECC. It's got 2 2.5 gigabit Ethernet interfaces and 1 M.2 E key. Okay, I see. So that's interesting. It's got 1, 2, 3 cards over here, so you could do like a wireless card over here or something 2230. These look like two 2280s. So this is actually very, very capable in terms of I/O. I'd love to get one of these to run as a server. I would. I totally would. And how much is the entire kit? I looked at this a while ago, and I know at the time I was like, I can't really justify buying that just to tinker around, but it's a full-fledged computer here. You can see, they even put a graphics card in there. This comes with an AMD R5 230 graphics card, an Intel X520 T2 with 10 gigabit RJ45 ports, so those two down there, two 2.5s up there, all USB 3s, 350 watt power supply, and one cooler up to 160 watts. Oh, and this comes with a fully loaded memory, 128 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz DDR4 with ECC preloaded. Oh, memory capacity, but not memory included. So I have some DDR4 ECC sticks I could totally throw in. The only thing they didn't specify was if it was unbuffered or not. So at the time, this was $2,000 for the 128 gigabyte plus 1 terabyte. Yeah. Of course, they're no longer available, probably because it's in China and goddamn Trump and his tariffs. AI in a box. Your own offline, private, open source LLM for conversations and more. This looks like a Raspberry Pi with a screen, basically. So I'm already running my own LLM, as you know. I need to put a keep alive function in there. But let's see. Need closed captions for a live event or just to help you where you have trouble hearing a conversation. So, I mean, for an accessibility device, this could be useful. Live translation. That could be useful. Translate between multiple major languages on the fly. Air-gapped privacy. A voice keyboard. Of course, it's open source. It's using a Rock chip NPU. Okay, so I'm not too far off. So it's using a Rock chip 3588S, 8 gigabytes of RAM. So it can't be too super powerful. 359. I mean, interesting, but I'm curious, what's the LLM it's running? Or is it you put it in, you set it up to be able to run it? Question, you use Python to fix your audio, correct? No, I use Bash. When I'm doing low system stuff, I use Bash. When I'm doing general projects and stuff like that to do a whole bunch of different things, I use Python. But, yeah. That's interesting. But, with all that said, it is getting a little bit late. I do have work tomorrow. I am going to try to be on stream tomorrow, because I didn't do stream yesterday. I had family come over. Otherwise, the next official stream is scheduled for Wednesday. So, thank you all for joining me. Make sure, if you haven't already, to follow me on all of my socials. The links are in the bio. We have a Discord server. We have a Matrix server. I'm on YouTube. That's primarily where I make my content. I'm on Twitch, Kick, TikTok, and then also Blue Sky and Mastodon, and a bunch of other places. Of course, there's GitHub and everything. But thank you all for joining me. Stick around for the raid if you're over on Twitch, but otherwise, I'm going to try to see you guys tomorrow. Worst case, you'll see me Wednesday. So stay safe, and as always, happy hacking.